actually zoomed it with my mind. So we're going to tear this over and then down. So we're going to do this over my shoulder. This is my point of view. I fold this in half like so. Okay. Now, the tear here happens maybe 1/4 of an inch or less from that white border. It's going to happen in the blue area like that. So I'm going to tear here. First, I just tear along there. And that may be nowhere near 1/4 of an inch. I've never actually measured. So that's the first tear. Okay. The next tear is going to happen the same place. Again, I'm tearing both sides. I tear down like so. I get to, before I get there, about 1/4 inch from the bottom there. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my fingers inside and I'm going to just tear this part. I'm not going to tear the other end here. I'm going to stick my fingers inside. At the halfway point, I'm going to tear across and then down away from the blue, right on that edge of the blue and the white. Now you want to use your thumbnail basically to crease or to score that as you tear. This takes the most amount of practice. When people first do this, it looks like rats climbed in there and gnawed it with their teeth. You don't want that. You want it to look a little bit more precise. So I'm going to tear down like there. Okay, that's my first tear. It's almost impossible to see from there, even in high definition, but I assure you the tear is there. I would not lie to you about this. So now I'm going to take my thumbnail, I'm going to push it right on that border and tear down. And I want to be careful. I don't want to tear into the blue. I don't want to tear into the white. I want to get that as good as I can. Whatever you do, you don't want to tear into the blue. You don't want any blue there because that'll make the illusion not as impressive. So now I've torn that, okay, and I've got this little tab here. Okay. Now that I've finished tearing that, I'm going to pull my fingers back out and I'm going to finish tearing out this middle. As I do this, I'm talking to the audience. I would never do this as my first trick. The reason is you want to have already impressed them and have the opportunity to engage them and have some sort of dialogue. So I wouldn't do this as my first one because it takes a little time to set up. Once I've torn this piece out, I throw it aside. And they're like, man, he's so cavalier. That's cool. I straighten this out. Now, this is really cool. When you do this and you hold this in your own hands, you'll realize there's this really neat thing. When you push this little tab in, you'll feel this little click. And it's very reassuring. There's a little click because the paper that makes a playing card is a little uneven, it'll overlap. And when you click that in there, it feels good because it's like, it's like a mechanism. So now I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'm not going to do the secret tear. I'm just going to fold this in half, and I'm going to tear out that middle section. And the critical thing I want to do here is to make sure to not get any of those pips. So I'm going to tear that down and tear that as close as I can to the border. And right about where the angel's hair is, or the cherubs, or the mermen. I don't know what they are. Well, I know there's a dude on a bicycle who's naked, which is not a good idea. Tear down here, and there. So now I have my two frames, okay? I open this up. One's just hanging over my hand like that. Now, to do the link, very important to remember, your key card, this is the one with the little tab here. We'll call this the key card, okay? This faces you. You're going to face this. So it's a 7, so I'm going to face that. The back is towards the audience. Your normal card is going to face the audience, okay? Because remember, the way the illusion works is you get that white continuous border around there. Well, Andrew, what if we flip it around? Well, that looks stupid. That's why. Because the border goes all the way over there and it overlaps. So don't do that. Write that down. Write that down. Write that down. You don't have to write that down, I'm kidding. So it goes over like that, okay? So that's what creates the illusion. So here's how we do the setup on this, okay? So we start off, I'm holding this in my right hand, holding this left. I'll show you from the front, and then I'm going to show you over my shoulder. I take the one that's closest to the audience, I lay it in front like this, so there's my little tab. And to do the link, the simplest way to do the link is I'm going to turn this over. With my thumb, I'm going to push that tab open, slide it through, and then click the tab shut, and then pull my fingers away and create the illusion. Now, there are a lot of different ways you can create this link, okay? A lot of different ways to create that effect, but that's the simplest to do this sort of rollover. Let me show you what it looks like from my point of view. If you go closer, yeah. So that's the one with the little tab there. That's there. So this is my point of view, okay? I've got that in back. Now my thumb, under the concealment of my fingers, I'm going to push this open so I can then rotate this over. Okay? Once I've done that, I shut it. Okay? And then I can pull my fingers away and do the reveal. Let me show you that again. Okay? Pop that open, rotate, close it. Okay? And that's how you do the link. So there from the front, very convincing. Once I've done this, I can use my thumbs to show both sides to rotate it around, and then I can rotate it over there. And then to do the unlink, I'm just going to cover that part with my fingers. I'm going to flip the tab open, and then I'll pull this card through like so, creating the illusion that something magical will happen. Give it a flick like you would a rubber band trick or whatever. Pull it through, and I now have two separated frames. Now at this point, I let the audience inspect this. The reason I let them inspect this is because a magically inclined person might be thinking that, you know, I've got a secret rip in the whole thing that I'm just opening and closing it or something like that. But when I perform for normal people, as you mostly do too, they're not thinking that. They don't know what to look for, and even if they did look, all they're going to see is a card with a funky tear in it, and they're horrible at tearing things. So bad. So I take this one and I give this to probably the most innocent looking person I can find, and let me tell you, in this crowd, wasn't possible, but I'm kidding. She was very innocent looking. I give them to this person. I want to give it to the person who's least likely to go, this looks like it's torn weird. Nobody's ever said that. Nobody's ever done that. But I give that to one person so they get the suspicious card I give to them, and then I give the other one to another spectator, and I ask them very simple questions. I say, oh, you know, run your finger all, is it a solid card? Yes. Okay. You know, is it like ripped in half at some point? No, it's not. Okay. I don't ask, are there any funny tears in there? Because then they would say yes. Okay. So don't ask them the question you don't want the answer to, which is really good relationship advice too. Anyhow, you've got the tear there. Okay. They're looking at this. They don't know what to look for, and you don't let the two people bring them together because it's like Wonder Twin powers. Because then they might go, hey, wait a second, I can do you. You know, I'm like, no, you're not a magician. I had to go to Hogwarts, right? Correspondence school. So you've got two people inspecting these. You let them look at them, and then you take them back, and then you go back and you repeat the link, and then you do your unlink, and then at the very end of it, and there's a lot of different flourishy ways you can do that, and I go into that in my DVD on HyperCards, but this is to do the effect. You can play with this in front of a mirror, and you'll see. After I do the unlink, I then hand them out into the audience. I give this to one side, and I give that card to somebody else, and it's an illusion that starts with everybody handling it. They get to touch the cards, they watch it happen again under test conditions, and you have